Welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Richard Dugan, your host.
We want to stop thinking in terms of limits and, that this life is all there is. For example, I'm just a material being. No, you want to think of life in terms of greater and greater stages so that you have an infinite horizon always before you. If I did something great yesterday, I can do it greater today. If I have good health now, I can have greater health. I can go on and on and on. And that's the truth of spirit. Spirit is, infinite and eternal.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to look at this experience as an experience to treasure being on earth and flexing our spiritual muscles, developing them, growing, evolving, and knowing that when the time has come to go to the next stage of being, we will do that. We will have done all that we can do, and we will have, grown exponentially in awareness of who we are and capacity to manifest it in life. That's a tall order.
It is.
But when you live from that point of view, then you see experiences differently, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what we're trying to do, too, is see things from different perspectives so we have a greater understanding. One of the aspects, too, I'm wondering, too, and have you elaborate on this as well, you use the word perfection. And I remember some years ago doing a word study on that, specifically dealing with the passage in the New Testament for those who are of the Christian philosophy, where it says, "Be ye perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect." And I thought about that for a long, long time because...
Yeah, that's a statement to contemplate all your life.
Yeah, well, the conversation that I was involved in at the time had to do with the rules that we live by, God's rules and or man's rules, the right and the wrong, the good and the bad, the white and the black, et cetera, et cetera. And I began pondering that passage and going, okay, be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. And I thought, okay, well, what is that perfection? What does that mean? And I could have gone to my concordance and looked it up, but I thought, based upon having read the Bible a few times, both old and new, I thought, okay, well, it can't mean good or bad, right or wrong, black or white. Be perfect, even as, present tense, your Father in heaven is, present tense, perfect. And then I thought of in the Old Testament where it talks about I am, be still and know I am,
God,
present tense, God. Okay, well, all right, putting some of these other elements together, that definition in that passage specifically isn't dealing with doctrine, dogma, right, wrong, rules, etc. It's dealing with that perfection is to be, just be who you are, and you are perfect because God is. He just is. And again, if we choose to use the patriarchal construct, that's really what struck me. And when I realized that's all I had to do was be. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to do the right thing or get punished for the wrong thing, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. All I had to do was be. And it made all the difference in the world. I'm not saying that, I've found it, folks. I'm still looking, like everybody else, because we're all human. But that was a wonderful eye-opener.
Yeah, be ye perfect, even as your Father, the Heavenly Father, Mother of us all.
Yeah.
Our own Father, Mothers, the Heavenly Divine Father, Mother of us all, be perfect. And to me, when you ask that, what is perfection, you look out at the universe, out of your own personal world, just stepping out of that and looking out at this incredible, earth that we live on with these, I'm looking at right here, I'm looking at fantastic snow, shimmering trees, beautiful blue sky. The perfection is all around us. If we have and it's in us too, if we have the eyes to see.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so good to, there's many spiritual tools. Forgiveness is a great tool that allows a human to move forward. The capacity to let go, really let go, which forgive means let go, basically, in peace, whatever they need to. When Christ did his healings, he never saw the imperfection. Someone came, the blind man couldn't see, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he just saw the perfect being within. He didn't stop at the appearance, how it looks on the outer.
Mm-hmm.
He recognized the presence of the Father within that person, and then the person saw. But it is a secret to healing to know that perfection is within, and that's why we want to contemplate ourselves to the best of our ability in the most harmonious, as the universe is, in the way of the universe. The way of the universe is love. Only love has the power to produce life in this universe. So so the life-giving principles, our love, our faith, are all those elements, those intangibles of spiritual quantity that actually bring power into life. Anything that takes away from life, fear, hatred, and so on, those are there to be overcome so that we may also be like the Father and bring more life. Holmes says nothing in the universe acts against itself. Otherwise, if everything participates under the divine direction, the divine hand, in a harmony, the harmony of the spheres. And things seemingly inanimate objects would have respond to this divine presence, this divine power. The planets don't crash into themselves. The sun comes up every morning, visible or invisible, lights up our earth. There's a constancy, there's a harmony, there's a power that's achieved with this interaction of peace that goes on in the universe. And so, it should be within, we should be strive to be that way ourselves.
Yeah, it's interesting because the first thing that came up when you mentioned, especially the planets not crashing into themselves, I think on a microcosmic perspective, we have millions of people every day, specifically in this country, who get into their vehicles in the morning and they travel to their place of employment. Many, many of them, and I couldn't say what the percentage is, I'm sure someone's got that statistic somewhere, are not in that vehicle and consciously 100% aware of what they are doing. They're thinking about something else. They're thinking about yesterday. They're thinking about tomorrow, what they're going to do when they get to work, et cetera, et cetera. And I have often thought when I've looked at or listened to the traffic reports, especially coming out of Los Angeles, because I can pick up LA stations up here in Santa Barbara, and I listen to the traffic reports every 10 minutes as they do them. And I'm thinking, okay, there are a lot of incidents that they're reporting, but based upon the volume of people, the volume of cars, and people who are not consciously present in the moment, it's amazing we don't have more. And so then I wonder, how much is spirit involved in our ability to get from point A to point B without being consciously aware, because I know you've probably had this experience. I know I have, where I get in the car, and this is a dangerous thing to do, mind you, and I head off in my destination, and I'm totally aware of what I'm doing. The next thing I know, I'm at my destination, and I can't remember how I got there.
So you did a little traveling there
Apparently.
while you were driving.
And so
You
I
were
wonder how
multitasking.
and I wonder how many of us do that. Plus the fact, I wonder what the involvement of spirit is, the universal power, if you will, to help us to avoid the crashing planets syndrome, shall we say?
Well, some do and some don't.
Well, I
But
agree.
the
There is a small
majority,
percentage. Yes,
you're right. I mean, when you think about the distractions,
yeah,
it basically, you're talking about the distractions and the inability to live in the moment.
exactly.
Like I'm amazed, for kids today with TV, let's say they're watching a show. They watch a show for 5 minutes, then 5 minutes at least of commercials, equal time, come on.
Yeah,
Then they're supposed to go back to that show,
yeah.
and have continuity. Well, how can that barrage bring any continuity unless you have really evolved, the power of attention and focus and being present? It was so easy for the focus to be broken up because things are so broken up, and no wonder kids have ADT or whatever they have.
Mm-hmm.
The attention deficit.
It's
So you say the whole society is suffering from attention deficit.
Hey,
because we need to concentrate on what's real.
Yeah.
And so we can do our best here. What's real in truth, and go about life in a very truly victorious and successful way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm amazed, just like with the traffic, as spirit. There's no life without spirit. Spirit is life,
Mm-hmm.
and the life that we breathe, is the divine breath. We live on the divine breath every moment.
Yeah.
And so we have life, and we can expand upon that, and use this great opportunity. And the wonderful thing about truth is that it's an endless fountain. So once you discover a little bit of truth, that no matter what you're going through, God is present, or that wholeness, the answer is present. A little bit of truth like that changes your entire universe. All the great mantras, God is need and need met in perfection. They're all mantras of synthesis with this great harmonious universe. And so if that's the song you're singing to yourself, or I can overcome, there's that in me that can, there is a perfect way. All we have to do is state the truth that is, even if we're not able to experience it or haven't experienced it yet. All you have to do is know the truth, and the real truth will be some aspect of harmonious, complete being, because that is the substance of God in us. So I do like to think of life as moving, expanding, outward. Every time you think of creating something, you think of making it, better and better. Life being greater and greater, not diminishing, not living from day one with the thought, I'm dying, what's the use? and of thinking of an endless stream of life that is there for you to explore, expand, to have greater joy, to be more of what you already are. But it's our responsibility, since we have the free will, to choose to bring it out or not. So I remember one person I was talking to, and she was so interested in metaphysics, which studies the great realities of the universe, the principles that exist, which we can use, and so on. Truth is so liberating. And she said, "Oh, I'm so interested, but I think I'm going to have to wait till next lifetime to do it."
Yeah.
So that's a lot of waiting, Like, do it now, seek it now, because it's only good news.
Yeah.
And it's the good news that doesn't go away. It never disappoints. It's good news, and it's permanent good news because it's truth.
Absolutely.
And so when people study metaphysics or truth in depth, they go into the universal teachings, because you'd never have a true teacher, would never be arguing about truth with another true teacher. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're on the same page, maybe expressing it differently, but Jesus and Buddha would not have argument.
No.
I would imagine that they would be nodding and appreciating.
Absolutely.
All the time. So the study of truth, you have to, truth, maybe at some point it would strike someone like lightning, like Saul on the road, and you'd have the illumination. But for my part, the best way to go is to seek it, seek the path that resonates with you, that which, and you'll know what it is, because it's going to make you more loving, more aware, more joyous, stronger, and if you're finding that through the words that are being spoken to you, then that's a right path for you, because there'll be a visceral change if you're really seeking truth and seeking to live your life to the most complete God level that you can. You're going to find ways to work that path. And so my book Bridge of the Gods has lots of really practical tools for physical healing, mental healing, spiritual, all the levels we talked about. It really covers the gamut, because with the mind of evolution, then we know there is a pattern. There are these divine patterns underlying the universe, which allow it to operate freely, regardless of what mankind does, and it goes on. So these divine patterns, when we bring them in for body, for example, one of the great statements when you're not feeling well is just to realize my body is one with the body of God.
Mm.
Perfect circulation, perfect, to realize that underlying every single organ, and all the organs in the human body are meant to, function harmoniously, in a synchrony, in a symphony
Mm-hmm.
of life, underneath behind each organ is a divine idea. Heart represents the flow of love through life, So when you look at heart problems, you don't want to look at, you don't want to just be taking your pill,
Right.
for high blood pressure or whatever, or whatever you want. You want to look underneath and heal consciously and give thanks for the assistance to your infinite Father, Mother, and that you heal those areas in heart in the expression of love, that those are healed. So in the heart, for example, venous blood, somewhat poisonous blood, goes through the ventricles and all that, and is purified in the human heart. So it should be with our experiences that when we go through things, we really attempt to bless, forgive, purify, release back to the infinite, so that our heart remains pure. And it's for ourselves that we forgive, and it's a tool. God doesn't need to forgive anything, but the tool has been given to human beings to be able to overcome, free themselves, and go on with their good vision in life.
We're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to continue our conversation here because I want to ask you some other questions, especially in light of some of the other things that I have read, and of course talk more about Bridge of the Gods and other works that you have out as well. I also like this dedication to our risen civilization, to the Christ-raised Atman, beloved of the Father, born anew in the heart of humanity, the temple of the living God, and the glory of the heavens brought forth. I want to talk more about that as well here on Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Richard Dugan, and we want you to stay with us here. We'll also give you the website to Dr. Coff's website in just a couple of moments here on Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. Stay tuned.
Tell me